I don't really want to pray for Bush's redemption. I want to see him impeached, and I want to see him hauled off and tried for war crimes. And you know, if they keep Guantanamo open, there's a place for him and Dick Cheney too. What I would like to talk about, though, is because it is 9/11, is that we're in a very dangerous time, and I'm sure all of you know this. But 9/11, whatever it was used in a very cynical way by this administration to start the dismantling of American democracy, to start the unraveling and shredding of the Constitution. And that process has gone on now for 6 years, and the damage is severe. And to top it off, you know, we actually tried, people around the country tried in an honest way to do something about that last year. They went out in record numbers and they elected a Democratic Congress with the hope that two things would happen: that the Constitution would be protected and that the war would be ended. And neither of those things have happened. In fact, they've given the Bush administration everything they've asked for, and more. They've given them more than they've asked for. They are completely derelict in their responsibility, in their oaths to uphold and defend the Constitution. So those people up in the Capitol, the Democratic leadership to start with, and the gutless people behind them and below them who won't stand up to them, have sold us out. And so the first thing I want you to do is to spread the word. Go to my website, thiscan'tbehappening.net, and you'll find a place to sign on to the I Quit This Party movement. There are 550 names on it, and I'm hoping it'll go into the thousands and tens of thousands. This Democratic Party has to know that it's not going to be supported anymore. The polls are telling them that. It's down, that Congress is supported by 18% of Americans. That's roughly half of the support for President Bush, which is pretty remarkable when they had 65% support last November, right after the election. They've done a remarkable job of losing the faith of the American people. So that's the first thing I wanted to say, is that if you had any hope, and I don't think this crowd probably did, in the Democrats doing anything to stand up for the Constitution and to stand up for ending the war, that should be dispelled by this point. The other thing I want to talk about is the failure of our media, and this is really critical now, because there's been some reference, I think, to this latest incident, the B-52 that flew from Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota on August 30th down to Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. It was carrying, that B-52, for those of you who don't know, was carrying 6 cruise missiles, which were designed specifically and only to carry strategic nuclear bombs in their, or warheads, that have up to 150 kiloton power, enough to destroy any city, but also can be calibrated down to 5 kilotons, which is just about as small as you can get, and half the size of the bomb that hit Hiroshima, which could also serve the purpose of looking like a bomb, say, from Iran. We've been completely lied to about this incident, and nobody in the mainstream media is asking the questions. How the hell do you get 6 fully armed cruise missiles put onto a B-52 launch platform in launch position on the pods and flown across the United States when there's a treaty that's been in place for 40 years disallowing that, executive orders disallowing it dating back 40 years, and even an order from George Bush's father in 1991 that you can't even load them onto a plane on a base and take them off again for practice. They said this is a mistake. This isn't a mistake. Let me take you back to 1978 when I was an investigative reporter in Los Angeles for a television station, KCET, public television. I went with a photographer to go check out the Seal Beach Naval Station down south of LA, because we'd gotten word from some anti-nuclear activists that the Navy was storing nuclear weapons there under the flight path to a civilian airport. So we drove down there, me and this photographer, and there was a road that bisected the base. So we drove down the road, and we found ourselves riding between these big earthen mounds, 75, 100 feet long, and about 15 feet high. But it was very strange, because on the right side of the road, there was a rusty old chain link fence with some barbed wire strands along the top. You know, the 3 barbed wires. And behind it were these old earthen mounds, grass growing on them and everything. On the other side of the road, on the left side, were these brand new hurricane fences that were like 5 feet higher than on the other side. And on top of those there was razor wire, shiny new razor wire. And then there was about 100 feet of bare ground and another fence with more razor wire on it. And behind that were these big mounds that were bigger than the other mounds, with concrete blast doors, and in front of every door was a Marine with an M16. And we said, that must be the nuclear weapons storage. And the other side is the conventional weapons, right? So we stopped the car, we got out, and the photographer got her camera out and started taking pictures. Immediately, a Jeep came at us with a machine gun mount and Marines in it with M16s. They drove up to the inside fence, pointed the guns at us, and told us not to move. We're standing there wondering what's going on. And Jeeps came down the road from both directions with more Marines with M16s. And within like 2 minutes of our stopping, we were surrounded by guys pointing guns at us. They took the camera, took the film, and hauled us off to the base commander, who then interrogated us on what we were doing. That's how they handled nuclear weapons. Believe me, there's no way that anybody on a base like Minot could walk in and inadvertently pick up 6 cruise missiles with nuclear weapons and bring them out by mistake and mount them on a B-52 by mistake and then fly them to Barksdale. Barksdale, by the way, is the staging base for B-52s going to the Middle East, where they dropped the conventional bombs on Afghanistan and back in 2003 in Iraq. So we got to ask, what is going on? And guess what? Nobody's asking that. They're not asking it in Congress. They're not asking it at CNN. They're not asking it at the Times or the Post. So we have to ask it. We have to demand to know what is happening. The White House, where is it? Back here.
Over here.
Back here is planning something clearly. They've lied about it, and the media is allowing this to pass. So make a lot of noise, demand answers from your members of Congress, tell them you're not voting for them unless they stand up for the Constitution and stop the war, and go and sign the I Quit the Party if you still happen to be a Democrat. Thank you.